Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to my Clive guide. It's about day 3, which means that Clive is about to release to the general public, people that haven't bought the super ultra giga edition of Tekken 8. So I wanted to get out a little guide for everybody to, pick up the character and hit the ground running. If you're new to my channel or you're new to my Tekken guides, you should know that my goal is not to take anybody from 0 to 100. I don't think that's a very reasonable expectation to put on you, and I don't think it's a very reasonable expectation to put on me. Instead, my guides are focused around getting you from like 0 to like 30, right? I just want to give you enough so that you can hit the ground running, understand what's going on, have fun pushing the buttons. That's kind of what we're all about here. That being said, if you're somebody who just picked up Tekken 8 because you saw that your favorite Final Fantasy character Clive was in it, then I must admit it is pretty difficult to teach somebody, character specifics without using a whole lot of jargon. So I have put together a playlist of some of, I think, my best Tekken guides that I made earlier on this year. I'm going to leave that link to that playlist down in the description so you can go and check out some of those things. I think that'll be a really helpful resource for you. And then maybe some point down the line, come check out this video. So I figure let's hop right on into it. So in my view, Clive is a defensive powerhouse. He uniquely plays from this sort of Soul Calibur range of like 2.5 to 3, where you're using these long range sword normals, like back 2. Here, let me just set him to block real quick. Using long range sword normals like back 2, forward 1+2, you're using like sidestep 2, maybe sometimes you're using forward 2. It's just all sorts of long-reaching attacks that you can harass the opponent with. And if you notice down in the bottom left, a lot of these moves have solid frame advantage. They're not plus, praise God, but they are, not so minus that they're punishable. And oftentimes they're going to leave you far enough away, especially in the case of like back 2, where you're not really in threat of even, like the disadvantage doesn't even really mean anything for back here. So I think that's all quite nice. I think the intention with this character is that you would ideally like to be around here. If the character backs out because they don't want to deal with these sword normals in this spacing, that's okay. You can kind of start doing wall running too, and then this puts the opponent into a disadvantageous state and also shifts into a mix-up stance that we'll get into a little bit later called Phoenix Shift. And then up close, you have a couple of pretty good tools. Admittedly, your offense is not great up close, but your punishment game is really, really solid. So your 10 frame punish, let me set him back to not blocking. Your 10 frame punish gives you a good knockdown and pushes the opponent back out to that ideal range that Clive would like to be in. Perfect. Your 12 frame punish similarly pushes them back to that range that you would like to be in. Really beautiful. Your 13 frame punish is a heat engage. And importantly, I gotta go set it back to block. It is only -9, so this is the first of your punishes that is not punishable. Your 1-2 is -14, and your 2-1 is -13. So this is one of your safest punishes, this 13 frame punish here. And then you also have the down forward 2. Let me pause the video because I can't remember what the 14 frame punish is. Yes, the 14 frame punish is down forward 1-2, 1+2. So that will give you some good knockback. Is it even 1+2, or did I make that part up? Might just be 1. Yeah, it is 1. Sometimes I push multiple buttons just because I'm like, I don't know, it's a punch, it'll come out. Especially if it's later in the string. But you get it. Your while standing punish game is also very good. Your 11 frame punish is pretty normal. It's just while standing 4. You have a while standing 1-2 as your 13 frame punish. After the 1, you could also push 4 to go into this Phoenix Shift mix-up stance, which, again, we will get to, I promise. But while standing 1-2 is really, really good. You have while standing 2, which is your 15 frame crouching punish. This is a full launch. It's a crumple. And that's pretty self-explanatory. And then while standing 3 is like a good move for covering certain situations. It is your while standing tracking move. It comes out in 20 frames, and it's good for instances where you're blocking, you're crouching, but you know the opponent is sidestepping. This is like the only real good option you have. Maybe this is good. This is a full crouch down forward 2, which is not the point of this section of the video. So now we've talked about Clive's punishment and his like up close defensive game plan, but how do you actually get in damage with this character up close? How, like what is his up close game plan, right? I think a lot of that is going to focus around Phoenix Shift, because it is where all of his best mix-ups are, right? So let's talk about all the options that we have out of it. If you just wanted to do it raw, it's forward 4, but there are a lot of strings that we can use to get into it, and I recommend doing it that way. And we'll look at some of those strings in a second. But first, I just want to talk about the options we have in Phoenix Shift, right? So first one is Phoenix Shift 4. So it's a low, slide in, hit them low. Boom. You have Phoenix Shift 2, and that's a mid. So both of these come out in 15 frames. That's really important because this is fundamentally our mix-up right here. Now, Phoenix Shift 2, if you happen to get a counter hit, you can follow up with 1. So this is Phoenix Shift 2, 1, and this is now like a tornado attack launcher, and you can do, you know, a whole combo after this, right? You can do whatever you want. And then you also have Phoenix Shift 2, 2, which does this little animation here and crosses through the opponent, you'll notice. Now, and this is really important for combos and I guess just playing Clive in general. A lot of these things that you do out of Phoenix Shift, like this 2, 2, if you hold back with the stick, then you can do it without actually having to cross through the opponent, right? So this is really good if you're like using it to carry people to the wall and you don't want to like inadvertently put yourself in the wall situation, right? So that is really, really nice. Some other options that we have out of Phoenix Shift are Phoenix Shift 3, which has the follow-up Phoenix Shift 3, 1 plus 2. And we have Phoenix Shift 1, which is an armored move. It's a mid, and it does really solid damage. Two other very important moves out of Phoenix Shift are Phoenix Shift 1 plus 2. This is a mid. It's a heating gauge. It's really, really good, especially because if the opponent is to block this, then you're only -7. So this is entirely safe. It's mid. It's tracking. Really, really good. The only risk is like this getting interrupted, but once it's come out, it's out. Very good. The other move that you have is 3 plus 4. So Phoenix Shift 3 plus 4 is also a tracking move. It'll track people that are sidestepping. And it's really good because it's +7 on block. So if somebody is standing still, you know that they're just trying to block the mix-up and you want to get some frame advantage, this is a good tool for being able to do that. So because our mix-up tools come out in 15 frames, we want to be able to go into the Phoenix Shift stance at +6 frame advantage. So there are a couple of ways to do that. There are a lot of strings that go into Phoenix Shift, and the way I break it down and I think about them is that there are different tiers of them, right? So let's go ahead and start talking about this first tier. So you have 1, 1, right? So if I just do 1, 1 and then hold forward, I'll go into Phoenix Shift. And you notice in the bottom left, the frame advantage was +6, right? So we're able to go and do our either 4 or our 2, and there's no gap for them to be able to interrupt us, right? Same thing is true of 2, 2. Push 2, 2, we hold forward, we're +6 frame advantage. We also have forward 2, 2. So forward 2, 2, hold forward, and he blocked that. If he doesn't block that, oh, okay, this only works on counter hit. I actually didn't know that. Well, there you go. So if we set it to player counter, we'll learn something together. This second hit now connects because the first hit is counter hitting, which is extending the hit stun there. And because that second hit is hitting, now we're shifting into Phoenix Shift and we're again +6, right? So this is probably even a tier below, I would consider, because not only do you have to get a hit, but you specifically have to get a counter hit to be able to go into Phoenix Shift at +6. There are a couple of moves, however, where you can get into Phoenix Shift at +6 even though they're blocking, right? So these moves are back 2, which is one of the biggest moves that you're going to be using like in neutral, right? So back 2, after that you hold forward and you're +6. You have 4, 4, right, which is also +6, and you have down forward 1, 2, which is also +6. So you think to yourself like, oh, what are these moves just bullshit? Like one of them you have to get a hit to be +6, the other ones they just block. If you pay attention, each of these moves has a high before it goes into the Phoenix Shift, right? So back 2 is a high, 4-4, the second hit is a high, and down forward 1-2, the second hit is a high. So if the opponent is looking for these strings and you're using them a little bit too often, then they know, oh, I can just duck here, and then when they try to go for the Phoenix Shift, I'll just launch them. So there is a lot of risk associated in doing that. And then the third tier of move is exclusively while running 2. So you notice that this is not +6, this is +15. So at that point, you're able to go through really any of the options that you really want to. If you wanted to do 3, you're able to do so. If you wanted to do 1, if you wanted to reset pressure with 3 + 4, you know, the world is your oyster at that point. So while running 2 is kind of your reward for like the opponent trying to back out of approaching you altogether, right? You're like in this range, you're harassing with all of these tools, they're getting annoyed, and they're like, okay, I'm gonna back up. And then once they've backed up to this range, you can start doing this, and you're enforcing like the craziest mix-up that Clive has, right? All right, let's talk about some of Clive's more noteworthy buttons. You've got back 1, which is a really good counter hit launcher. You have down back 1, which is also sort of a counter hit launcher. If you do down back 1-1, you get this tornado attack, and then you can run up and follow up with a combo. The other really noteworthy thing about this down back 1 + 2 is, or I'm sorry, down back 1 is that it's pretty much its own option select. So if I set the opponent to block, you notice that even though I'm still pushing 1, the follow-up doesn't ever come out, and it's safe on block. It's -8. So if they do end up getting hit, then, you know, let's say it's not a counter hit. Not a counter hit. If they just get hit by a normal hit, then they go flying back. Okay, cool. Now we're back in Clive's like ranged game plan. That's fine but by us. If they get counter hit, it's a tornado now. You're able to get like an entire combo out of it. If they don't get hit at all and they just block, then you're still safe. So very, very good move. It is a high, so it's not like, you know, insane. You know, if this was a mid, call the cops. But, you know, you can duck it, punish it, but it is still very, very good for Clive. Another move that I think is really noteworthy is down 1 + 2. So this is a mid. It's pretty slow, so you're only going to be using it in select situations. But it is very plus, or I guess not plus, but it's just good on block. Like it makes the opponent stagger back a little bit. It's safe. You're at this range that Clive ideally wants to be at anyway. So if you can kind of get this in there, I think it's good. 1 + 2, we talked about it in the punishing section, but I think this move is incredible. 13 frames is quite fast. I mean, obviously 10, 11, 12 frames are faster, but the fact that this is like the fastest punishing move that Clive has that is also safe on block, I think makes it really, really considerable. Especially if you're a new player and you don't really know like how punishable everything is. If you try to punish something with 1-2 and you're wrong, then it's, you know, it's -14. Like you try to punish a 10 frame thing and oh shit, it's only -9. Now I'm, you know, in a really dangerous position. As opposed to, I think this is -13. Oh, it's actually only -12. Okay, well, I'm safe. You know what I'm saying? Like it feels like a better gamble a lot of the time. If you don't know what's going on specifically. Clive's best low out of, you know, not a stance or anything is this down 1. Very, very good. You see it's -13 there, which is not ideal, but all things considered, it feels like a poverty Dragonov down 2, right? You get +2 frame advantage. You are in this crouching state, so maybe you do while standing 4, maybe you do full crouch down forward 2. You know, there are options there, but this is for sure Clive's go-to low without having to do anything else. The only other really noteworthy lows that he has are this down forward 3, which has the follow-up with 1 and launches the opponent, but it has like 29 frames of startup, and if it gets blocked, you die. So I wouldn't recommend it, at least not frequently or outside of combos. And you have down back 4. Down back 4 is pretty good. You see there, it's 19 frames, which is like decently fast. Like they're not really able to react to that, but if they're somebody who's a little bit button happy, maybe a bit of a risk there. On counter hit, it does give you a full launch, and I think it does evade some highs. So like sometimes round start, if the person is trying to jab you every single time, you might be able to get away with doing this and like counter hitting them. And again, because it's a tornado on counter hit, you're going to get a full combo out of that. Other noteworthy buttons. Let me think about it. Yeah, I guess in terms of neutral, this button's pretty noteworthy. Heyo. So this is forward 3. It reaches really far. It's a launcher. It doesn't reach quite that far. But I'm still like 2.5 away, right? Look at the bottom left, 2.5. Skadoosh. It's a really far-reaching launcher, and it is one of Clive's few launching attacks that can go over lows. So he doesn't have like a traditional hop kick or anything like that. He just has this move. Very, very good. I've seen this move evade things it really should not be evading. So I'm not entirely sure what the properties of this move are, but it is very good. It is exceptional. All right, let's talk a little bit about combos. Because these guys are meant for new players, I try to construct combos that are reliable and relatively similar to one another so that you don't feel like you have to learn like a particular combo for when you get this type of launch and an entirely different combo when you get this kind of launch, and etc. So I will say Clive is a very interesting character, and I think that there are a lot of different routes and a lot of different, combos and stuff that you can do with him. I think there's definitely stuff that's more optimal than what I'm going to show you here, but this is like a baseline just to get you started sort of route that I think really works. If we are doing like a down forward 2 launch, then I recommend you go for a down back 1+2 route, right? So this string is going to put them in the air, and then you jump up, and then you have a couple of different options. In this particular example, because we're doing down forward 2, we're going to do the 2 follow-up, and then we're going to run up and do this sequence here. So this is down forward 2. It's a down back 1+2, 2, and then down forward 1, 2, Phoenix 2, 2. Okay. We'll say all that again. Maybe I'll put it on the screen or something. No, don't put that pressure on me. the editing me from the future jumped out of my body and said, whoa, I'm not working on that. Okay. This is down forward 2, down back 1+2, 2 in the air, down forward 1, 2, Phoenix 2, 2. Remember, you have to hold back. If you don't hold back during that Phoenix 2, 2, then what happens is, whoop. Then what happens is you get this finishing animation. It'll do a little bit more damage and maybe, bigger number, cool. But you're losing all of the like wall carry that you just worked so hard to get, right? So I recommend holding back for that part. Now, there are other types of launches that you'll get, like a low parry or like a counter hit back 4, where you've already used the tornado. That won't be something that you're able to use in your combo again. And they're like on the ground. So how do we pick them up, and what is the route that we do there? Again, we're just gonna go into Garuda, except this time, instead of doing 2 in the air, we're gonna do 3 in the air. All right. So do Garuda, 3, and you see it sort of floats them there. And once we land on the ground after doing that 3, we're gonna do down back 2, hold 1. Okay. So Garuda, 3, down back 2, hold 1. Right. That's going to give us about 60 damage, and it's solid. It's decent, right? The wall carry is good. They're far enough away that you're able to get back into your range game plan. Cool. All that stuff's really nice. And let's say that you're like, you've literally never held a PlayStation controller in your life. Let's say that the idea of doing one of those combos is way too difficult. You're like, okay, just give me something incredibly easy, okay? Down forward 2, 3, 3, 2. You got that? down forward 2, 3, 3, 2. The reason why I don't recommend you do this combo if you have the proficiency to do something else is because I favor, fundamentals, right? I think this wall carry that you're getting and the like Oki and the ranged situation that you're getting, I think all of those things are really, really nice, especially if you're able to like get somebody to the wall and do like a wall sequence or a wall combo or something like that. However, say you're well away from the wall. Say you're even on a stage like this one where we're just not getting there. It's probably, honestly, fine to just cash out and just get decent damage there. So I think it is considerable some of the time. All right, what's our wall combo? If we haven't used our tornado yet, then you can do 3, 3, 2. Pretty self-explanatory. Very, very good. If you have like comboed on the way to the wall and you've already used your tornado, then let me think. What is the how am I going to tornado this guy real quick? All right, I figured it out. So let's say you wall stick, you've already used the tornado. Then you just do 2, 2, 1 plus 2. And that'll give you a really good Oki situation because notice it flipped him over and his head is now facing us, right? So there you go. Very, very good route. And if their back's to the wall and you're just looking for a way to actually get the wall stick going, some pretty good options are 1, 2. Although that will make them slump a little quickly, so you have to be on the lookout for that. 2, 1. I think that is a much better slump. You have forward 2, 1, which I think is very good in this situation because if you set the opponent to block, you'll notice that you're +1 here and in their face, which is not what I would expect. And then from like a crouching position, you have 1, 2, which I think is a really good option there as well. I think that should about do it. We've talked about his overall game plan. We've talked about his punishing game and while rising punishing game. We've talked about Phoenix Shift and how you get into it, what your options are in it, and you know how you enforce that mix up. We gave you some basic fundamental mid-screen combos, some wall combos. Yeah. Oh, right. I just remembered. Okay, I swear this isn't a bit. I completely forgot to talk about this in Ketskin Gauge. So there are a couple of moves that you have that will make this meter go up. Okay. You have 1, 2. You have 2, 2, 1 plus 2. You have forward 2, 2, 1 plus 2. You have forward, forward 2, which is also very good. I forgot to talk about that. You have wall standing 1, 2. Right? Also, in Phoenix Shift, you have 2, 2. Notice that makes it go up. And notice, by the way, that even if you hold back, it will still go up for you. So that's not that big a deal. And in Phoenix Shift, you also have 3, 1 plus 2, which will give you some Sinketskin, right? So what the fuck is it, right? Well, if I do a bunch of things that give me meter, I'm just going to try to build this up. Let's build it up to 5, why don't we? Then when we push 1 plus 4, 5 will do this big slash. It'll do a bunch of damage. And this isn't scaled very well, or at all, maybe. So it's supposed to be like, oh, I do a big combo, and then right at the end I do Zinketskin, I cash out, and then I get, you know, whatever damage I built up by using these particular moves over the course of this match. Right. So the reason why I forgot to talk about this is because I don't think it's incredibly important for a new player to be thinking about all of the time. For a new player, you should be focusing on using moves because like the frame data is reasonable. You're picking a move because like it's fast enough, right? You're picking a move because it has a counter hit property. You're picking a move because it tracks to the left and right. You're picking a move because you know, it's a low and you think your opponent is expecting a mid, right? There are more fundamental, like Tekken-y reasons to be selecting a move than because they like give you a meter that you could potentially cash out in a future round, right? It just doesn't make any sense to like compromise your combo or your own play for the idea that you might get a big damage dump later on, right? So I think don't focus on it too much. Try to use moves that you think are sound. And if by like the third or fourth round you look up and you realize, oh, I've got 3 bars, then guess what? You get a juicy combo out of it, right? So yeah, that is the Clive breakdown. Thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate you. Consider subscribing. I usually don't call for people to subscribe, but I am trying to get to 10,000 by the end of my first year. I have until about the end of January to hit that goal, and I think it would be really, really cool. So, yeah, consider helping me out. All right.